right, welcome everyone. We've got some people on board. I'm sure others will join as we get started. Thanks for joining us today. And thanks to Andrew from Atlassian for joining in today. So we've got a session that we're going to be addressing the integration between Compass and Jira Service Management. And we'll bite that off in two bits. So Andrew will take us through Compass and what it is. And then I'll take us through the integration to JSM and kind of what that means from a point of view of the CMDB and asset management. So let's get into it. Andrew, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Boyagi from Atlassian. And as John mentioned, I'm going to be talking today about Compass. So I'd like to start with why we developed Compass. And if we think about the context, the way software is developed has changed dramatically over the past 10 years, which has led to some new challenges for software teams. We've seen a shift away from monoliths to distributed architectures like microservices. We've seen a massive shift towards cloud and changes to ways of working like DevOps and a you build it, you run it mentality. All these changes have created new challenges for software teams and what it means to support modern applications. Complexity is one of those challenges. Teams operating in a distributed architecture need to navigate unprecedented levels of complexity. Modern dynamic environments have a rapidly growing number of software components that are frequently changing. It becomes difficult to track things like who owns each component, what's the health of those components, how do we govern those components against company standards. Couple that, we've got new velocity expectations. So businesses want to be first to market with new products and features. Customers expect constant improvement and a new stream of features always being delivered to the products that they use. All of this puts pressure on software teams to deliver really high quality software fast. And then we've got cognitive load. So you've got high complexity mixed with pressure to be first. And these two things combine to put a lot of pressure and cognitive load onto software teams. Adding to those two things, developers these days are expected to do and to know more. They need to know about cloud technologies, about CI/CD tooling, about testing and quality, security requirements, AI. There's a lot of pressure on software teams, which adds a lot of cognitive load. Atlassian have been on this cloud journey for 10 years and have experienced a lot of these challenges firsthand. We built tools and continue to iterate on these tools to enable our teams to overcome these challenges and improve our own internal developer experience. Atlassian has over 250,000 customers, and we've seen a lot of those customers also starting to experience those same challenges. So we built Compass, our developer experience platform. So Compass aims to reduce cognitive load for software teams in a few ways. So software teams no longer need to remember who does what and where to find things. They can use the component catalog within Compass to do that. Teams also now know what they need to do up front, and they can track their progress using Compass scorecards, which helps them avoid rework. And teams can get the information they need on demand, meaning less waiting time between teams and higher value collaboration when they do need to work together. Compass essentially helps our customers build a world-class developer experience. So we've taken 10 years of learning and put it into one product for our customers to take advantage of, and we're just getting started. Compass currently has 4 key features. The first one is the component catalog, which I mentioned earlier. The component catalog really helps to track ownership of software components and provides a single place to store all of those component metadata in a single, searchable, consistent way. It's got a feature called Health and Metrics. So these are scorecard and metrics that give you insight into the health of a component and things and associated metrics like, for example, DevOps metrics. Our newest feature is templates. So templates allows you to standardize the creation of new software components based on a template. This really shortcuts the low value, repeatable work that developers normally need to do when they're creating a new service. And finally, extensibility. Extensibility is really what makes Compass a developer experience platform and not just another developer tool. Developers are usually working on a software component, but then need to log into multiple tools to find the information they're looking for. So for an example, they might need to log into a monitoring or a logging tool. They'll have to navigate the UI to find the component that they're working on, and then bring that information back to the piece of activity that they're working on. So Compass allows you to connect all the tools that devs already use today and presents all that information in the context of the component, which is what the developer is actually interested in. So all of these features really combine to dramatically improve developer experience. Today, we're going to focus on the software catalog and the powerhouse that gets created when you combine this with Jira Service Management. We'll share a few links to more information on the features, on the other features of Compass after this session. So let's dive into the component catalog within Compass. The component catalog within Compass is free, which means you're essentially getting a free level up of your Jira Service Management functionality by using it alongside with Compass. So I'm going to give you a tour of the catalog, and then as John said earlier, I'll hand over to John and he'll show you how combining these two products creates a powerhouse for service management. So in the world of distributed architecture, the number of components are rapidly growing and changing, as I said earlier. These components are at a more granular level of detail than what you normally want to capture in something like a CMDB. It's not always practical for teams to update a centrally owned CMDB with these changes. So teams that I've led in the past have often chosen not to update a CMDB because the changes that they're making are happening more frequently than they can actually update the CMDB with. And it's because the level of detail is more granular than what's normally in a CMDB. So the component catalog within Compass is actually team owned. So this means that each team has the autonomy to create and update components whenever they need to. It's automated as well. So it pulls information from across the environment, and which really helps to reduce the toil associated with keeping a catalog up to date. And most importantly, components can be connected to an asset in Jira Service Management, creating a really valuable link between the higher order asset and software components. So let's take a closer look at what's actually in the catalog. So within the catalog, you can easily find out what a component is by looking at the name and the description. You can see which team owns it and how to contact the team via chat. And you can also see who is on call at any given time for that software component. So we use smart links to connect information across tools. So you can create a link to the source code repository. You can create a link to the asset in Jira Service Management. You can add a link to the Jira project where the team tracks their work. And you can create links to all the documentation associated with this software component. I mentioned health and metrics earlier. You can also see health and key metrics related to a component at a glance. Now, this is really useful. So, for example, you might want to create a scorecard that captures all of the criteria that a software component needs to achieve before a component is allowed to be shipped to production. So by creating this scorecard, both teams and governance teams, software teams and governance teams, can see where a component is at and what the health looks like for that component at any given time. You can also see all recent activity associated with the component, including deployments and any incidents that may be occurring, which are also being tracked in Jira Service Management. So they're all shown in the activity feed. The activity feed view can also be expanded to show activity for dependent components. Now, this is really useful in a distributed environment when you're trying to find out what has changed in the environment. So if you're having an issue with one component, as an example, being able to see what's occurring up and downstream from that component can really help to get a handle of what's going on. So the component catalog within Compass brings together all the key information that software teams need to manage the software they own in a distributed environment. It reduces cognitive load by putting everything in a single place, removing the need for teams to remember all the details. It creates an information on demand culture where anyone can find what they need about a software component without needing to engage the owner team. As I mentioned earlier, the component catalog within Compass is free and available to use. You can sign up for Compass at the Atlassian website and you can get started within 5 minutes. So I'll hand over to John now. He's going to show you the value that gets unlocked when you combine the Compass component catalog with Jira Service Management.
So, the interesting thing about this JSM and Compass together, it supports the DevOps move, bringing the operation team, the dev team together. And for, the operation team and its mandate to provide customer service, that DevOps experience is paramount. It helps those teams provide a much more proactive level of support, a much more faster ability to triage issues. So what I'll be doing is demonstrating the link between Compass and Jira Service Management, and particularly, and you'll see how that really leads to an improvement in being able to deliver service outcomes. Now, the use of CMDB, and assets within JSM is actually an area of opportunity for many organisations. And so, you can understand that the process of change management and incident management becomes a much more robust process when you've got a live CMDB that's supporting those. And so you'll see that when Compass is integrated through to JSM, you'll now be able to link the CMDB all the way through to the code and its kind of development activities. And so you can understand then for teams who are, trying to deal with outages and incidents or managing change, being able to have that information at their fingertips is gold. In the past, it would be, well, I'll send a ticket off to the dev team, a request to the dev team to have a look at this or have a look at that. And, maybe tomorrow we'll get that feedback. So it really accelerates the delivery of service, and it really moves an organisation into that DevOps model. So that's kind of what I'm going to be demonstrating today. All right, so here's an example within our demo environment. We're looking at a component called financial systems. And so here in Compass, we've got it connected to our repo. We've got our Jira software dev project here. So all the important information that supports this particular component. And we can see there's a bit of a deployment activity and all the information that Andrew took us through. And so at the bottom right here, you can see that we've got the link to Jira Service Management. This is a dependency to a service within JSM. So let's go and have a look at that service. So here we are in JSM, right? So it's a really easy, really quick link back and forth out of Compass into JSM. So if you're familiar with JSM, you've got the services, business services, and this is one of the services that have been defined within JSM. So here we can see, the connection out to Compass. So again, for the ops team to be able to jump back and forth, quickly get to the component in Compass is really easy. We've got other information here. We have our service owner, our link out to OpsGenie. We can see active tickets, dependencies with other services. So a lot of information here that, if I'm a part of an incident team triaging an issue with, our financial systems service, I've got all this information at hand. Now, the other thing from here is that, our services within JSM are one of the schemas within our asset or within our CMDB. So if we go and have a look at our CMDB or our asset view in JSM, firstly, what you see here is one of the fantastic things about asset in JSM, and that is that you can create a range of different schema. And so why would you bother to do that? Well, it can help you turn a complex range of assets into a much simpler structure of defined assets that makes it really easy to manage. And over that, you can then define access and management permissions for individual schema. And so you can have tight controls for sensitive or high value assets, and that's really important. And then within those schema, any assets can still have a linked relationship to any other asset in any other schema. So there's no downside, no loss of functionality by separating out your entire asset structure into different schema. And there's a whole lot more value. I could talk forever about how great this asset structure is, but let's focus on the task at hand. Let's go into our services schema, and we can have a look at our financial systems service here, right? So this is the service that was linked out to Compass, and now we can see a range of information here. But the area that I particularly want to highlight to you is these linked objects. So here I can see very quickly my business service of financial systems, its dependencies on other elements in the complete asset structure across the entire CMDB. And the object graph is a great one because it gives me a really easy visual of all of these relationships. And so I can see here, so I'm dealing with an outage in financial systems. I can see that the financial systems service is resident on this particular server, HVO1. I have some information here. I can double click on that server to see its relationships and its maps to other component assets. And I can see here that, the server currently has a status of action needed. I can have a look at linked issues, and I can see that there's already a ticket, there's already an outage recorded on that incident, and I can move forward and kind of address the issues. And I'm well on my way, within a couple of clicks, I'm well on my way to determining what the issue is for this outage and restoring it. So, very quickly we've been able to see, I can have a look up into the code base. If there was potentially a deployment, could have been a deployment yesterday, that could have been the root cause of the issue. I can quickly go down to supporting components, and here I've found there's an issue with the server. So gosh, within a few minutes and without hassling anybody else, I can get to the root of the issue, and then I can rally with relevant accountable people to restore service. So, a really fast, really easy way of demonstrating how Jira Service Management works together with Compass. So that's kind of, that's as, I'll just stop sharing my screen. That's kind of as complex as it gets, which is kind of not complex, so you need to jump on to asset. You need to get on with defining your, we've lost Andrew. I don't know what happened there. You need to get on to CMDB and asset. And then that, link to Compass, you've got, you can sign up for free, get that working, integrated through to your repos and your dev work. And so to recap, we've had a look at how we can go from, welcome back, Andrew, how we can go from, our component in Compass all the way through into JSM, and to really support. You can see there how it really is a strong support of your incident management process, and you can imagine for your change management process. So you're really amping up the robustness and the proactivity of those two processes. So certainly encourage you to get a free Compass account and check that out. We could probably go for a wrap. I appreciate everyone's time for joining us here. Again, we're going to have, I'll post the recording for this, so for those that didn't get to join can see it later. For those that have watched it, you're welcome to share it with others in your team that may be interested. Andrew, big thanks for you for taking us through Compass. And apart from that, we can go for a close and get back to the day. So thanks very much for joining us.